What's happening, YouTube? Welcome back. This is a new Road to Grandmaster series. This time I'm playing 4-player fixed cards with a novice who is blue, a beginner who is yellow, and an intermediate who is orange. So in the very first round, I saw that the yellow player was going for Australia, which is why I decided to take a territory in Australia just to make it easier for him to capture it without me losing any troops unnecessarily. Meanwhile, the blue player is attacking a 4 against 2. You should never do that. That's too risky. Tip number 1 of the video: never attack if the chances of winning are less than around 85%, because you could end up losing that, and that's not good because you could end up wasting your troops, which makes you a target later on in the game. So just play it safe and don't take any unnecessary risks unless you need to attack someone to restore the balance of the game, or it's in the end game and you're in a 1 versus 1 situation. But other than that, you shouldn't take any unnecessary risks. Meanwhile, the yellow player has successfully captured Australia and is getting the most troops out of all of us, which means that in order to balance him out, I need to capture Europe, or orange or blue needs to capture South America. Basically, one of us needs to capture a continent in order to make sure that the yellow player doesn't get too powerful. On the orange player's turn, he was kind enough to clear out his troops from Europe, making it very easy for me to capture it. And he was actually very unfortunate because he lost the 6 against 2 blitz roll. Now, that's something that I would advise taking normally, but he was just unlucky, and that happens sometimes. If you don't have a 100% chance of winning, there's always the possibility of something unexpected happening. So now that the orange player has cleared out from Europe, I can continue on my quest for capturing it, but I'm still waiting on my sets before actually going for it, just to have some more security in defending my continent and having a large enough central army to protect it. Meanwhile, the orange player is desperately trying to capture South America, even going through blue's 5 troops in order to do so. Instead of doing that, the orange player could have made an alliance with blue and then allowed blue to move his troops out of the way into North America, instead of wasting his troops on blue and making an enemy for the rest of the game with the blue player. Fixed cards is a game of diplomacy. If you anger your opponents too much, there's always a possibility that they will decide to suicide on you, ruining the game for both of you and essentially gifting the victory to whichever lucky player was not inside that conflict. So in this case, if the blue player and orange continue to suicide for South America, that will make it where either me or yellow will have the best chances of winning this game, being that orange and blue are going all out on each other, which means that they're going to be the weakest out of all of us. In fact, the orange player went full suicide on blue, allowing yellow to take out orange for his cards and turn in a set on the same turn, which gives the yellow player a huge advantage over me and blue, meaning that I need to team up with blue against the yellow player to make sure that he doesn't become too powerful and end up overpowering both of us. Currently, the blue player and I have 57 troops together, and the yellow player has 42 troops by himself, meaning that together we are stronger than yellow, and the balance of the game has not yet broken, which is very good because otherwise, if the yellow player had more troops than both of us, then he could easily take us both out in a single turn, And even though the yellow player is the strongest out of all of us, the situation right now is very good because blue and I are perfectly balancing each other out, and yellow only has Australia. Well, he did have Australia until he captured Asia, which is not good for the balance because now yellow will be getting +7 for Asia and +2 for Australia, while blue and I will be getting +10 for holding North America and Europe, which is why I told the blue player to attack yellow. And fortunately for me, the blue player decided to actually take my advice and team up with me against the strongest player, yellow. Now, all I need to do is to make it look like I'm on blue's side and attack the yellow player, but not too much. At this point in the game, it's a very critical moment. The reason for that is because together the blue player and yellow have 60 troops combined, while I have 56, which means that I could theoretically try to take out blue and then use the 4 continents endgame strategy against yellow. The only problem with that idea is that my biggest army is blocked in Europe. So instead of trying to go for that, I instead captured Africa. And it was at that point where the blue player broke his alliance with me because I was attacking his territories, and he invaded me into Africa. Fortunately for me, he actually decided to take the biggest risk of attacking a 7 against 5, and he ended up losing it. At this point in the game, on the yellow player's turn, the yellow player and blue together have 78 troops, while I only have 56 troops. However, I realized that in order for me to win this, the best chance of winning is actually to turn in a set for 4 cards and then take out the blue player for his 4 cards and then execute the 4 continents strategy, endgame strategy, against yellow, being that yellow's biggest army is blocked in Australia. And that's exactly what I went for. On this turn, I turned in my set and took out blue. Now I get 4 cards, which means I can turn in another set, and then I can properly defend South America and North America with only 3 borders, and it's going to be very difficult for yellow to retaliate in this situation. He only has 44 troops while I have 61, and not only that, I also have 3 cards while yellow only has 2 cards. So not only do I have troop advantage, I also have the card advantage and the territory lead, which means that it's basically over for the yellow player. At this point in the game, I fortified some of my troops in order to execute the 4 continents strategy against yellow. Yellow was fortunate enough to have a set at 3, which allowed him to invade me. However, he didn't invade me into all of my continents yet again, meaning that it's game over for yellow. On my turn, I used my troops from deployment to blitz his big armies and capture North America, South America, Europe, and Africa with only 3 borders to defend against. Now I can finally fully take out the yellow player and secure the victory. That's another tip of advice for you guys. Whenever you see someone has Australia, think about potentially going for the 4 continents endgame strategy against them. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.